in the region. Where already more than 100,000 people have been displaced and 520,000 are in need of humanitarian assistance. The Secretary General calls on Nigerian authorities to spare no effort in identifying and swiftly bringing the perpetrators to justice. The Secretary General reiterates the commitment of the UN to continue supporting Niger in its efforts to counter and prevent terrorism and violent extremism, promote social cohesion, and achieve sustainable development. This morning, the Secretary General spoke at the Security Council at a meeting on high-level debate on technology and UN peacekeeping. He said that digital technology represents one of the greatest opportunities, but also one of the greatest challenges of our time. He underscored that the international community must come together to better govern the social space for good. The digital space for good, excuse me. When it comes to UN peacekeeping, Mr. Guterres said that it is essential that it fully embraces a digital world to improve its agility, anticipation, and responsiveness to conflicts. He noted the strategy for digital transformation of UN peacekeeping operations will help advance data-driven technology-enabled peacekeeping, both at headquarters and in the field. The Secretary General added that this initiative will require support from member states to help capacity building, training, equipment provision, and financial contributions. Full remarks are online. Haiti, our UNICEF colleagues tell us that they estimate about 1.2 million people, that's including 540,000 children, are affected by the earthquake. UNICEF says about 500,000 Haitian children have limited or no access to shelter, safe water, health care, and nutrition. Search and rescue efforts are underway. However, criminal violence and insecurity are complicating the humanitarian response, with the main road from Port-au-Prince to the south of the country being controlled by gangs. Nevertheless, a UNICEF truck was able to deliver medical kits to 3 hospitals in Likai with enough supplies, including gloves, painkillers, antibiotics, and syringes, to treat 30,000 earthquake victims over the next 3 months. The UNICEF and its partners are also distributing tarpaulins for emergency shelter, latrines and showers, water reservoirs for safe water distribution, and hygiene kits. The agency estimates it will need $15 million to respond to the most urgent needs of at least 385,000 people for 8 weeks. And turning to Ethiopia, our humanitarian colleagues are telling us that the situation in Tigray remains unpredictable and volatile, while movement of Tigray forces in Amhara and Afar provinces continue. Humanitarian access into the region remains restricted via the only road through Afar region, where there is insecurity, with extended delays for clearance of humanitarian supplies and intense searches of trucks at these checkpoints. Only 30 trucks with humanitarian supplies can be scanned each day under the current procedures. But as we've been telling you, we need 100 trucks of food, non-food items, and fuel needed every day to go into Tigray. Humanitarian operations are also severely impacted by lack of supplies, cash, banking services, fuel, and telecommunications, transportation of ICT equipment. It remains prohibited by the authorities. We, along with our humanitarian partners, continue to stay and deliver to help meet the existing and emerging needs. As of yesterday, there are 457 UN staff, about 10 UN agencies, supporting the humanitarian response there. 29 mobile health and nutrition teams also continuing to provide essential services, reaching more than 50,000 individuals with medical consultations at 72 health facilities and 47 camps for internally displaced people across the region. And I have 5 new resident coordinators to announce today. Our colleagues at the Development Coordination Office tell us that Stefan Preisner of Austria has taken up his new post as resident coordinator in Iran, started earlier this week on August 16th. Next Friday, Barbara Manzi of Italy will start as the new resident humanitarian coordinator in Burkina Faso. Karima El Khoury of Morocco will start as the resident coordinator in Malaysia, which also covers Brunei Darussalam and Singapore. And on the 22nd of August, Yasim Orak of Turkey will start her new role as resident coordinator in Guyana, while Gianluca Rampolla del Tindaro of Italy assumes his duties as resident coordinator and humanitarian coordinator in Venezuela, and that's August 23rd. All of these appointments follow confirmation from the respective governments. Full biographies are available. And a quick COVID update from Ecuador, which received shipments of more than 100,000 AstraZeneca vaccines on Monday from COVAX, which were donated by Spain. To date, Ecuador has received more than 1 million doses through COVAX with help from the Pan American Health Organization and UNICEF. Our UN team, led by our resident coordinator and good friend, Lena Savelli, has been supporting authorities to address the health and social economic impact of the pandemic. And as some of you may know, today marks the 3 years since we lost Kofi Annan, our former Secretary General. As the current Secretary General said, Kofi was both one of a kind and one of us, a man who embodied UN values and made all of us proud to call ourselves his colleagues and friends. We remember him today and every day. Our Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed said on this day 3 years ago, the world lost one of its moral voices. And on a personal note, I'm sad. Sorry, James.
Yeah. Your first announcement before the humanitarian briefing from Kabul. First, I tweeted what you said, but UNAMA have corrected me and says it's not an evacuation. Why is it not an evacuation? And if you could perhaps explain to us also why, and I'll use your words, there is this relocation now, because the situation has actually stabilized compared with any time over the last 5 days. Why didn't you bring these people out earlier?
Well, obviously, I think as we've all seen, the scenes at the airport were rather chaotic. We had to bring in a plane from the outside. It took quite a bit of time and of work to coordinate with the parties on the ground, the parties in the air, and others to ensure that this relocation could go smoothly. Discussions with the Kazakh authorities, to whom we're extremely grateful, were ongoing. They were finalized, and I can't underscore our thanks to our friends in Almaty for having allowed us to open up this satellite office. A relocation is exactly that. It is a relocation. The office in Almaty is designed for international.
They're being relocated because they have to be evacuated, aren't they?
Let me finish my sentence. It is the office there set up to host about 100 international staff, people who don't need to be on location to do their work. It is a way of lightening the footprint for obvious. So it is a relocation. They will go back when we feel the situation allows it.
And just to clarify, these people who are being relocated or evacuated, they are all international staff. You are not repositioning any national staff at this stage. And if that's the case, after what we just heard from Caroline from UNHCR, that quite a number of the women and the women dependents would like to be evacuated from the country, is the UN giving people the choice? And if not, why is the UN not doing what many other nations are doing? Why should people be disadvantaged working for the United Nations rather than working for the US or the UK or other countries?
First of all, I can tell you that we are doing our utmost to safeguard our national staff and their dependents, whether that's having those who will stay in country or those who may come out. The big difference between working for the United Nations and a nation is that we are not a nation, right? We are not a nation that issues visas. So there are all sorts of administrative hurdles that have to be negotiated and discussed. But the national staff is very much on the forefront of what we're trying to do every day. All right. don't be shy, James. Don't be shy unless there are questions in the chat. I should have left when I had the chance.
Okay. Well, I do have
you
more.
remind me of somebody else, but go ahead.
Yep. Sorry. Oh God, that sounds awful. Can I ask you about things going on at a diplomatic and political level?
Yeah.
What is the highest level contact that the UN has had in the last few days with the Taliban? Who has been speaking to the Taliban and at what level?
Our colleague Ramiz Alakbanov, the humanitarian coordinator, has been in touch with senior Taliban officials on the ground in Kabul. I don't have any details of any other contacts that have been had.
So what is the Special Representative Deborah Lyons doing? I mean, there are Taliban in town. Journalists are meeting them. She's I would argue now, the most important representative of the international community, because there are only a handful of embassies operating in Kabul. Most of the embassies of the US and their allies are out at the airport dealing with evacuation. There is a window right now with the Taliban saying it will offer an inclusive government. Surely the most senior UN representatives should be meeting the Taliban right now. What is the SRSG doing, and where is Jean Arnaud?
Jean Arnaud is back here in New York after he was in Doha.
Would he be better in Doha or Pakistan right now?
I'm telling you where he is. I'm sharing with you the information that I have. It doesn't mean, as usual, just because I don't talk about it, doesn't mean that other things aren't going on. Okay. Michelle?
Sorry,
yes, sure.
just a really quick clarification. Of the 100 staff that are being moved,
100 or so, yeah.
They're UN and like UNAMA and UN agencies.
Yeah,
right?
it's across its UN system.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Stefan.
Oh, sorry, James. Yes, go ahead. Mr. Reinhold, go ahead.
I had one outstanding question. Thank you so much. Yeah, I had one outstanding question before you dashed off. It's nothing to do with Afghanistan. You gave a brief readout on Tigray and Ethiopia. I'm wondering, about a week ago, you gave us information about the launch of an investigation into death in the Afar region in a place called Galikomo or Galikomo Kabele. It was a bad incident. You said it might have been shelling and up to 100 civilians killed at a refugee center. I'm just wondering, is there any update, any new information about that?
Let me check with our colleagues at UNICEF, because I think they're the ones who had flagged it, but I will check. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.